My name is Daniel, and I am 42 years old. I am a cardiologist at a large hospital. I have been married to Isabella for 10 years, and we have 2 children, Arthur and Louisa, who are my life. Isabella is an admirable woman, a renowned lawyer, and a devoted mother, always balancing her work with the children's routines. Our life has always been well organized, a constant balance between work, children, and the rare moments we managed to reserve just for the 2 of us. But everything changed when I met Renato. He was the new orthopedic surgeon, a brilliant doctor who had just been transferred from another city. Renato was also married to Carolina, an architect, and had an 8-year-old son named Miguel. Our lives seemed to mirror each other. Solid marriages, children, successful careers. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. We were just colleagues. We discussed cases, swapped shifts, and that was it. But over time, I began to notice something different. Those quick conversations between coffees began to stray from professional territory. We talked about our families, the distance that work created, the exhaustion of long hours, and, above all, that silent feeling that, even though we had everything, something was still missing. Renato seemed to understand exactly how I felt. One night, after an exhausting shift, we were alone in the break room. The hospital was almost deserted. We talked about our marriages and how, over time, the relationship becomes more of a partnership than passion. A heavy silence fell between us. When I looked at Renato, there was something in his eyes that I had never seen before. It was then that he leaned over and kissed me. I was paralyzed. Married to Isabella, I had never cheated on my wife, not with another woman, much less with a man. But that kiss awakened something I didn't know existed within me. I pulled away, confused. However, the following week, we met again. This time, I couldn't resist. What had been a discreet friendship turned into a secret affair. We began to make up excuses to spend more time together. Extra shifts, after-hours meetings, encounters in empty hospital rooms, or discreet hotels. The adrenaline rush of experiencing something forbidden was intoxicating and, at the same time, frightening. Renato started inviting me to dinner at his house. Sitting at the table with Carolina and Miguel, pretending we were just good friends, was surreal. Carolina was sweet, attentive, and seemed happy in her marriage. But every now and then, while she went to the kitchen, Renato and I exchanged glances full of desire. Later, I returned the invitation. Isabella was excited about the idea, and our children quickly bonded with Miguel. The evening seemed normal, like a gathering of friends, but behind that facade, there was something dark. While Isabella prepared dinner, Renato discreetly followed me to the balcony. There, we exchanged a quick kiss, hidden from prying eyes. It was too risky, but the danger only increased the desire. As the months went by, our encounters became more frequent and more daring. Our wives began to notice. One night, Isabella confronted me. She asked why I was so distant. I made up excuses. Too much work, long shifts. She accepted them, but her eyes made it clear that she had her doubts. Everything started to fall apart when Renato sent me an urgent message. Carolina saw some of my conversations on my cell phone. She's suspicious. We need to talk. We met at a discreet, secluded cafe. Renato was pale and nervous. He said that Carolina had been questioning his schedule and his absences. My heart raced. I knew that if Isabella found out, it would only be a matter of time before everything fell apart. That's when we decided to stop. We were on the verge of destroying our families. The attraction was strong, but it wasn't worth risking everything. We said goodbye with one last kiss, knowing that would be the end. I went home that night and, for the first time in a long time, I really looked at Isabella. She was there, by my side, taking care of our home, our children, supporting me in silence. Guilt washed over me like a tide. Renato and I had crossed a line. Even though we decided to end it, we knew that the weight of betrayal would remain. And somehow, our lives would never be the same. Months passed. At first, I tried to convince myself that it would be easier this way, that time would erase what happened, that the distance between us would heal the wound we carried in silence. But that's not what happened. Every shift, every medical meeting, there was Renato, sitting across from me in a conference room, walking hurriedly down the hallways, or even just catching my eye from afar. and it was in those moments that something inside me screamed. The longing began to suffocate me. It was like an addiction. I needed his touch, the smell of his skin, that hug that made me feel alive in a way I had never experienced before. Sometimes, just seeing his hand holding a clipboard, or the way he adjusted his tie before entering a meeting, was enough to fill my mind with memories of what we had. I tried to hide it, immersing myself in work, paying more attention to Isabella, spending more time with Arthur and Louisa. But deep down, I knew I was just fighting something much bigger than myself. And Renato also seemed to be in the same conflict. There were days when he barely greeted me, as if he wanted to put a wall between us. But on other days, our eyes would meet and remain fixed on each other for a few seconds longer than was acceptable. Those seconds were enough to rekindle the flame, even if silently. One night, after a long shift, we were leaving at almost the same time. I was already in the parking lot when I heard his voice calling me. "Daniel, wait a minute." I stopped. My heart raced even before I turned around. He walked up to me, his eyes tired, but shining in a way I knew well. We stood face to face for a few moments without saying anything, just breathing the same air, until Renato murmured, "I can't do this anymore." I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew exactly what he meant, because I couldn't either. Every day, hiding what we felt became more unbearable. And there, in the empty parking lot, under the dim light of the streetlights, he took a step forward. I should have backed away. I should have remembered Isabella, our children, the weight of betrayal. But when Renato's face came close to mine, all reason was lost. Our lips touched again, with even greater intensity than before, as if months of abstinence were exploding in a single moment. His embrace was firm, desperate, as if he never wanted to let me go. I knew we were reopening a door that should never have been unlocked. But at that moment, the truth was that I didn't want to run away anymore. That night didn't end there. We went together to a discreet hotel and, for the first time in months, gave ourselves to each other again. There was no guilt in that moment, only the certainty that it was impossible to erase what existed between us. We made love as if it were the first time, but also as if it were the last. Every touch, every glance, carried the intensity of two men who had already tried to run away and discovered they couldn't. And it was at that moment that everything became clear. No matter how hard we tried to pull away, no matter how much we promised it would be better to stop, we couldn't. The attraction was too strong. But it wasn't just that. There was complicity, there was affection, there was a deep understanding that I had never experienced before. Since then, 4 years have passed. 4 years of secret meetings, of messages exchanged at unlikely times, of excuses invented to justify absences. 4 years living between two worlds, that of the family we built with our wives and children, and ours, hidden but pulsating, where it was just the two of us. Curiously, we never talked about abandoning our families. Neither Renato nor I have any intention of separating from Isabella and Carolina. We love our wives in our own way. We take care of our children. We keep our routine intact for the outside world. But between us, there is something that transcends explanation, something we can no longer control, nor do we want to. Today, we live in this risky balance. We are silent lovers, accomplices to a secret that no one can imagine. We continue to practice our professions, smiling at our families, attending dinners, birthday parties, school meetings. But behind every normal gesture, there is this hidden flame, this parallel life that only the two of us know about. And even after so many years, every time Renato hugs me, I feel the same thrill as the first time. It's as if, deep down, I know I can live without many things, but not without him. I remain married to Isabella, a present father to Arthur and Louisa, a doctor dedicated to my patients. Renato remains at Carolina and Miguel's side, maintaining the image of an exemplary husband. To the world, we are ordinary, respected, upright men. But the truth is that behind the smiles at family dinners, behind the trivial conversations in hospital corridors, there is something much greater, a hidden but living love. A love we cannot name, that does not fit into rules, that challenges our own notion of right and wrong. I often find myself looking at Isabella as she smiles at our children. I admire her, respect her deeply, but at the same time, I carry the weight of a secret that I can never reveal. Sometimes, I feel guilt consuming me, And other times, the certainty that I couldn't live without Renato gives me the strength to go on. He and I never talk about abandoning our families, maybe out of cowardice, maybe out of love, maybe because the life we have, however complex and contradictory it may be, still makes sense this way. What we have is not a promise of the future, it is a stolen, precious gift that we keep only for ourselves. And every time we are together, whether for an hour in a hotel room or a simple handshake in an empty hallway, I feel the same thrill as the first time. No matter how much time passes, no matter how many walls we build around us. When Renato looks at me, I know that there are things that time cannot erase. Maybe one day this story will end. Maybe we will be discovered. Maybe life will force us to choose. But until then, we'll continue like this. Two men torn between what we show the world and what we keep only for ourselves. And deep down, despite the guilt, the fear, and the risks, I know I have no regrets. Because, amid all the uncertainties, I found in him something that no one else could give me. The feeling of being alive. Kisses, and subscribe to the channel.